welcome back. And now we're going to be talking about the second biggest or most common investing mistake that investors make that I've seen in the past. The first, we talked about speculation, where what you're doing is you're trying to make a whole lot of money in a very short period of time by speculating in real estate or stocks or crypto or whatever it is, or commodities, whatever it is. It's very similar to gambling. And so, gambling is something where you'll make money sometimes and lose money most other times. So if you want to be consistent in your money making, become a real actual investor where your money works for you instead of you sitting there and pulling your hair out wondering if you're going to make money or lose money. So the next mistake that I see, a very common mistake that I see people make, is investing solely for accumulation and not for income. Now, I alluded to this in my last video when I talked about speculation. And what I mean by that is there are people who invest for the long term. So they're not necessarily those people that are trying to do get rich quick, which is speculation. Speculation is, I want to get rich quick. I'm going to put my money over here and I'm going to hope that, in a few days or a few months, I'm going to make a whole lot of money. Well, there are people who don't think that way. They're much more conservative than that, and what they want to do is they want to invest for the long term. And in fact, what they do is what's called dollar cost averaging. They take a little bit of their money every single month and they invest it in the stock market, for example, right? They could do this in other things, but the stock market is the easiest example I can give you. Now, what's wrong with that, right? Isn't that what most people do? Well, when you're investing for accumulation instead of cash flow or income, which I talked briefly about in the last video, the problem is you end up in a situation where when you need the money, it's not there. So we saw this after the 2008-2009 financial crisis, the Great Recession, right? There were a lot of people, a lot of baby boomers especially, that were in the process of retiring, right? They had anticipated that they were going to retire, and what ended up happening was they didn't have enough. Why? Through no fault of their own, the market crashed. So all of the years of accumulation that they had, all the gains that they had made over the years, simply evaporated for several years. So those people who were on track to retire in 2008 and 2009 had to wait until 2012, 13, 14 to actually retire or go back to work. Here's another example. I had a client years ago after 9/11. So after 9/11, we know that the stock market crashed. She's a teacher. Her husband was a doctor, an OBGYN, and they had both retired. They were on a retirement cruise. So as they were on their retirement cruise, their stockbroker, did some trades unbeknownst to them and not authorized by them that actually cost them some money. So they lost maybe, I think it was 10 or 15% of the value of their portfolio. Not a deal breaker, not disastrous. Then 9/11 hit, the stock market crashed, and their portfolio basically evaporated. When they came back, they realized that they're going to have to go back to work. So the wife, knowing that it was easier for her to go back to work as a teacher, decided to go back. The husband was like, I can't go back. I would have to take my boards and go get, all the legal and licensing requirements that he would have to go back and redo to start up his practice again. So that was not an option. So again, it really, kind of threw their world upside down, the fact that the market, right, which they had zero control over, really just swept away all of their gains. So they saved for decades and decades and really didn't have anything to show for it until they came to us. With the income she had and the little bit they had left, we were able to parlay that we were able to coach her and show her and her husband what to do. And I think it was really within 4 years where they were able to retire. And their portfolio had not rebounded, but they didn't want to rely on that again to live on. So again, investing for accumulation is not the same thing as investing for speculation, because it is a long-term investment and people typically invest over time, a little bit over time. The danger there and the problem is that you are still relying on the value of something there in the future. Now, let's say that people are investing in real estate for the same way, for the fact they believe that their real estate is going to be worth more in the future. Well, if you're buying it and it's actually costing you money and you're paying a mortgage, or you're paying more on your mortgage than the renter is paying you in rent, and you're losing money every month, and it takes you 10 years for that property to appreciate to where you want it to because of, COVID or the Great Recession or 9/11 or something happens beyond your control, you're going to hold on to that thing and you're going to have some crazy costs over the course of a very long period of time just to break even. I know a lot of people who did that, especially during that 2008, 9, 10 crisis, and they really couldn't even sell those properties. So the people that invested for income in all of those cases, so like for instance, the people that invested in real estate for the purpose of getting a positive cash flow, those people were really unaffected by the market crash, by the fact that their real estate value went down, because they continued to get income every single month. They had a process and a system. Everyone who has a process and a system for making money, no matter what, is going to do well in times of inflation. They're going to do well in times of economic crisis. They're going to do well when everyone else is struggling. So that is mistake number 2 that I see that's very common that most investors make. I highly recommend you invest for income and cash flow rather than accumulation. And with that said, stay tuned for mistake number 3, where I'm going to go into some other things that people do that can exacerbate the first 2 things that I talked about. Okay, if you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. All right, see you later.